You might think that with all this calculating and changing, the Julian calendar would now work perfectly. But did it? No. There was still a problem. The addition of one more day every 4 years, or a leap year, would keep the calendar accurate if the solar year were exactly 365 days and a quarter day long, or 365 days and 6 hours. But it is not. The solar year is only 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds long. It is shorter than the Julian calendar year by 11 minutes. What effects would this difference have? Well, it means that the solar year, or seasonal year, would compete with its cycle approximately every 11 minutes earlier than the calendar year each year. And as many years went by, all the 11 minutes add up, and the solar year seasonally time would fall on an earlier and earlier calendar date. This is what happened. In the year 1580, the spring equinox, the day in which the daytime and the nighttime are exactly equal lengths, fell on the calendar date of March 11th. This is 10 days too early. It was supposed to fall on March 21st. And the civil calendar had fallen 10 days behind true seasonal time. This would not bother the average person, but it did bother the church officials. They saw that if the calendar date kept drifting this way, religious holidays would begin to fall on the wrong season. Christmas would fall later and later in the season, toward spring, then summer. Another big problem was Easter. Easter is not set on a fixed calendar date, as Christmas is. Easter is what we call a movable feast. The date for the Easter is set each year as the first Sunday after the full moon following the spring equinox. If the solar calendar, or seasons, and the civil calendar for the date kept drifting apart, the time of the spring equinox would fall on an earlier and earlier calendar date. But according to the church custom, Easter was not supposed to fall before April 21st. Again, a calendar correction was needed. Calendars have always been in keeping of the priests. This was true by the Hebrews and the pontifices of Rome and the astronomers, priests of Egypt. Now, after studying the problems of the calendar, Pope Gregory the 13th ordered that 10 days be dropped from October 1582. This would advance the calendar date and let it be one more catch up to the rest of the true seasonal dates. October 5th became October 15th. This put the spring equinox back on its proper calendar date. But what would happen in the future? Would this not 11-minute difference be the calendar to fall behind again? It would. They thought about it, and this is the way the problem was corrected. Pope Gregory ordered that 3 times during the 400 years, the 1 extra day of a leap year would be eliminated. It was to be eliminated in the century year that could not be divided by 400. It was eliminated, therefore, in the 1700s, the 1800s, and the 1900s. In the year 2000, our next year century, leap year will not be eliminated. It was carefully figured that by means of this adjustment, the calendar year would keep up with the solar year. Now, the calendar was called the Gregorian calendar after Pope Gregory the 13th. Did this last correction finally give us an accurate calendar? Well, just about. The Gregorian calendar is so accurate that the difference between the solar and the calendar year is only about 200, let me move that decimal point over, 26.3 seconds per year. Can you figure out how many years it would take for the calendar date and the seasonal date to get out of step? Just one day. under the Gregorian calendar? Again, it caused some confusion when the new calendar was put into effect. Different countries, for example, adopted this calendar at different times. Some countries, those who still accepted the Pope's religious leadership, accepted the Gregorian calendar at once. But then this happened to be the right time after the Reformation, a time of great bitterness and conflicts between rebelling new Protestants and the Christian Church, or the Christian Church of Rome, led by the Pope. And so many countries that were mainly Protestant resisted the new calendar, not because it was a bad idea, but simply because it came from a pope, even though it had nothing to do with religion. England did not adopt the new calendar until 1752. For a while after this, in England it was confusing. People would refer to a date of being either Old Style or New Style, or Old Style, which was O.S. meant the date was under the old Julian calendar and that they had been using the New Style, which is N.S. meant the date was under the new Gregorian calendar. George Washington was really born February 11th in 1731 of the O.S. But the calendar change was made. His birthday would have been February 22nd in 1732 in the N.S. You may wonder why there is so many years differences, as well as an 11-day difference in his birthday when the calendar had just been changed by 10 days. Well, under the new Gregorian calendar, everyone had to observe January 1st as the beginning of the new year, whereas before, in 1752, under the old calendar, in England, they had observed it March 22nd as New Year's Day. And since George Washington's birthday fell on February, this made it 1 year earlier into the old calendar, which did not begin the new year until March. The extra day difference is accounted for in this way. The year 1700 in the new Gregorian calendar, it had its leap year day taken away from it because it was a century year not divisible by 400. Since England in 1700 was still using the Julian calendar, their calendar had this one extra day in it. And in 1731, Virginia, where Washington was born, there was still one of the British colonies and was therefore also still using the Julian calendar, the same as England, and so George Washington was officially born on February 11th, 1731, O.S. and not really on February 22nd, the date on which we now celebrate his birthday.